Hi everyone and welcome to Yoga for Everybody. My name's Claudia and in today's class we will continue with our beginner yoga series theme, and the focus of today's class will be building strength in our core. So having a strong core is really important in your yoga practice. If you have a strong core, that means that you will balance better in your postures, you'll be able to hold yourself better, you'll be putting less pressure on your joints as you'll be able to support yourself more through your core. If you're practicing balancing poses or inversions, headstands, etc., having a strong core is really fundamental. If you've just come across this class and you're a complete beginner, I would recommend that you go back to lesson 1 of the beginner yoga series, where you will learn the basic fundamental postures of a yoga practice, and then you can work your way through all the lessons and come back to this lesson when you're ready. As always, please let me know what you thought of this class in comments. Your feedback is really helpful. And do subscribe to the channel and click the little bell icon that will notify you of the new classes as and when I post them. Check out my Facebook page. I do post some schedules on my Facebook page for my live classes if you're interested. Maybe connect with me on Instagram, give me a follow, and otherwise I hope you enjoy today's class. Let's begin. Today we're going to begin in child's pose. Come onto your mat, sit back on your heels, and then separate your knees just as wide as feels comfortable to lower your chest forwards, and then start walking your fingertips towards the front edge of the mat. So just go as low as feels comfortable for you. If you find that your sit bones are starting to lift, you might want to pop a pillow in between your heels and your sit bones. If your forehead doesn't reach the floor, maybe you can pop a block or even just stack your fists and drop your forehead down onto the floor. But I do want you to stretch through your fingertips, so perhaps a block would be a better option. So just feel this gentle stretch in your back, especially the lower backs in between the shoulder blades. And let's just take a couple of deep breaths here. So just try and relax into this posture. Don't force anything in, any poses throughout today's practice. Just work at your own level. Another deep breath in. And on an exhale, keep your sit bones where they are and just walk your hands to the right side of your mat, stretching through the left side of the body, so through the left fingertips. Deep inhale here. And on an exhale, move your hands to the opposite direction, so feeling the stretch in the right side of the body. Your sit bones are stationary. Another deep breath in. And then move your hands back towards the front of your mat. Keep your right hand where it is. Take an inhale. On an exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right, so a variation of the thread the eye of the needle pose. So you're trying to lower your left shoulder and your left ear towards the floor. It doesn't matter if it doesn't reach the floor, just kind of try and aim for that direction. Stretch through your left fingertips towards the right side of your room. Deep breath in. And then exhale, come back up and switch sides. So left hand stretching forwards, take an inhale. On an exhale, thread your right arm underneath your left and stretch through the right fingertips as far to the left as you can. Maybe your shoulder and your right ear can release down onto the floor, but doesn't matter if not. Just take another deep breath here. And then exhale, release. One more inhale in child's pose. And then we're going to come into a tabletop position. So making sure your shoulders are over your wrists, your hips are over your knees, you're about shoulder width apart with your hands, hip width apart with your knees. We're going to continue warming up the spine with a few cycles of cat-cow, so one of my favorite stretches. So starting in a neutral spine, on an inhale you're going to start dropping your belly down, lift your chest and your chin, look up, So arching the spine, a cow pose. And then on your exhale, you're going to reverse this. So round the spine, bring your chin towards your chest and look down. One more time, inhale, arch the spine, look forwards. And exhale, round the back and look down. You can tuck the belly towards your spine, move your hips back a little bit to really feel the stretch in the whole of your back. One more time, inhale, arch the spine, look forwards. And exhale, round the back and look down. Inhale, come into a neutral spine. And we're going to come into our first balancing pose. Excellent for strengthening the core. So starting in a neutral tabletop position, tuck your belly in, so suck your belly button towards the spine and then start lengthening your tailbone towards the back of the room so your back is nice and flat. So pretend like you're trying to balance something on your back, a hot cup of tea that you absolutely cannot spill on your back. So this is the position we want to maintain through our balancing. So take an inhale and stretch your right hand forward and left leg back. Keep your fingertips and your toes on the floor, or maybe see if you can start lifting just a couple of inches, or maybe until the hand and the leg is parallel with the mat. Just experiment with your balance here. On an exhale, release, and we'll switch sides. So really engage the core. Remember, you can't move your back. Inhale, left hand forward, right leg back. Keep your fingertips and your toes on the floor, or maybe see if you can start lifting. Inhale. And on an exhale, release. We're going to continue doing this for a few more times. So just work at your own level. Inhale, right hand forward, left leg back. Maybe lift. Exhale, release, switch sides. Left hand forward, right leg back. Lift. And exhale, release. One more time on each side. Right hand forward, left leg back. Really stretch forwards and back with your fingertips and your toes. Exhale, release, and switch sides. So you should really feel the core muscles activating here to keep you stable and balanced. And exhale, release. Brilliant. Take an inhale here. On an exhale, let's tuck the toes and lift the hips up into our first downward facing dog. So as always, the key thing in downward facing dog, so as always, start with your knees bent, press into your hands and really focus on lifting your hips and your tailbone up towards the sky. And then maybe drop one heel down at a time, alternating pedaling the feet. If you find that your hamstrings are quite open, maybe you can drop both heels down. So whatever is working for you today, I prefer starting my down dog by alternating between lowering the heels. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed and they're externally rotating away from the ears, so you don't want your shoulders pressing against the ears, and you're gazing towards the back of the room, so in between your legs. Take another deep breath in. On an exhale, release, drop your knees back down onto the floor. We're going to do another core strengthening exercise in a tabletop position. So on an inhale, one more time, right hand forward, left leg back, and maybe lift. And then what we're going to do is just tap the toes and the fingertips down one, and then lift. Exhale, tap two, lift. Exhale, tap three, lift. Carry on tapping for 3 more times, or if you want an extra challenge, see if you can bring your right elbow towards your left knee and crunch. 1, ooh, almost lost my balance here, and release. Exhale, knee to elbow 2. Release, exhale, knee to elbow 3. Back to your balance. Inhale, on, and exhale, release everything back down into tabletop position, and we will switch sides. So left hand forward, right leg back, core muscles are engaged, lift, and then tap your toes and your fingers down 1 and lift. Toes and fingers down 2, lift. One more tap, 3, and lift. And then either 3 more taps or left elbow to your right knee, crunching 1, and release. Exhale, crunching 2. Inhale, release. Exhale, crunching 3. Inhale, release. And exhale, drop your hand and your knee back down onto the floor. Let's tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. So we are going to spend quite a bit of time on our sort of hands and knees, either in modified planks or planks. If you're not used to this and you're not feeling particularly strong today, or your wrists are hurting, please make sure you take rest. There's absolutely no need to push yourself. You can always pause the video and come back to it later. Take an inhale here. On an exhale, let's drop the knees back down into our tabletop position. This time, keeping your hands where they are. On an inhale, you're going to stretch your right leg back. And then see if you can inhale, lift your right leg up. On an exhale, you're going to bend the right knee and bring your right knee towards your right elbow, squeeze. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, right knee to left elbow, squeeze. Inhale, back up. And then exhale, right knee towards your chest, really round the spine, maybe touch your knee to nose. And then see if you can step it through in between your hands. So we're coming into a low lunge. You can do whatever you need to guide your foot with your hand into this low lunge. Adjust your position. You might need to move your left knee back a bit to feel the stretch in the front of your left hip. Try and roll into the area just above your left kneecap to protect the knee. And then when you're ready, let's lift the arms up into a low lunge. So really stretch up through your fingertips, drop your hips down, feel that stretch in the left hip flexor. Inhale. On an exhale, you're going to drop your right hand somewhere either on your back, or maybe you can grab hold of the back of your left leg. So we're twisting to the left, and then bring your left arm over your left ear for a tiny little back bend. Deep breath in and exhale. On your next inhale, lift your right arm up, stretch. Exhale, drop your hands back down onto the mat. We're going to step that right leg back. So see if you can bring your right knee into your chest, squeeze it in, and then step back into our tabletop position. Let's reset the spine before we do the same sequence on the other side. So inhale, arch the spine, look forwards. Exhale, round the back and look down. Inhale, come into a neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the toes under and downward facing dog. One deep breath in down dog. Remember, you can continue having your knees bend if you need to. On an exhale, let's drop the knees back down onto the mat, back into our tabletop position. Same sequence on the other leg. So inhale, stretch the left leg back and then lift. And by the way, if you're struggling to lift, you can always do this sequence with your toes down on the floor. Inhale. On an exhale, left knee to left elbow, squeeze. Inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, left knee to right elbow, squeeze. Inhale, back up. On an exhale, left knee into your chest, round the spine, maybe touch the nose, and then see if you can step it through in between your hands. And again, you can use your hand to guide your foot. Maybe move your right knee back a little bit. Just make sure your left knee is not going over your left toes. Again, try and roll onto the area just above your right kneecap to protect the knee, especially if you're on a hard surface like me. And when you've got the balance, lift your arms up, low lunge. So again, try and lower your hips forwards. Feel the opening in your right hip flexor. Deep breath in. On an exhale, left hand down, grab hold of the back of your right leg, or maybe just place it on your back somewhere. Taking a little twist, and then right arm over your right ear with a tiny little back bend. Deep breath in and exhale. On your next inhale, lift your arms up And on an exhale, lower your hands back down onto the floor, stepping the left leg back. Now again, see if you can bring the left knee into your chest just for a breath, squeeze, and then bring it back into tabletop position. Resetting the spine one more time. Inhale, arch the spine, look forwards. Exhale, round the back and look down. Inhale, coming into neutral spine. Exhale, tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Deep breath and downward facing dog. Remember, you can always drop on your hands and your knees for a quick rest here. Otherwise, we're going to do the same sequence again. So knee to right elbow, knee to left elbow, knee in between your hands and stepping the leg through. You can drop down onto your knees back into the tabletop position and do the same variation as we just did. Or if you want to advance it a little bit, see if you can come with me and do it from the downward facing dog. So on an inhale, lift your right leg up into a three-legged dog. On an exhale, start bringing your weight forwards, bend your right knee and bring your knee towards your right elbow, squeeze. Inhale, lift your right leg back up, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to left elbow, squeeze. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee towards your chest, round the spine, really squeeze it in, and then step it through in between your hands. So if that didn't work, you can always, again, help your foot with your hand or just return back to the previous variation. So if your left knee is on the floor, lift your left knee up. We're coming into a crescent lunge. Press back through your left heel, right knee is over your right ankle. And when you're ready, lift your arms up. You can always place your hands onto your right knee first. Stretch up through the fingertips in a crescent lunge. Maybe gaze up, deep breath. On an exhale, spin your left toes towards the long edge of the mat, warrior two. Deep breath in warrior two, and then bring your hands behind your head. You can interlace your hands or just have them behind your head. We're going to do a bit of a oblique work. Take an inhale here. On an exhale, you're going to lower your right elbow towards your right knee, crunching one. And come back up. Inhale, exhale, elbow to knee two. Come up. Inhale, exhale, elbow to knee three. Come up. Two more times. Elbow to knee four. Come up. And elbow to knee five. And come up. Release your arms. Take another deep breath in warrior two. And then circle your hands back down onto the mat. Spin your left heel up. And we're going to step back into either a plank or modified plank, depending on if you're on your knees or not. So you can drop your left knee down here, back into tabletop. Otherwise, see if you can bring your right knee, squeeze your right knee into your chest and step back into a full plank. So nice straight line, shoulders are over your wrists, press back with your heels. And let's just hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and press back into downward facing dog. So you can always do that plank off your knees if you need to. And take a quick rest here if you need to, because we're going to repeat the same sequence on the other leg. So again, you can take the first variation of it on your hands and your knees, or otherwise see if you can do the sequence from downward facing dog. So inhale, lift the left leg up. On an exhale, bend the left knee, bring it to your left elbow, squeeze. Inhale, three-legged dog, left leg up. Exhale, left knee to right elbow, squeeze. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee into your chest, squeeze, and step your left foot in between your hands, helping it if you need to. Press back with your right heel this time, your right knee is off the floor, left knee is over your left ankle. When you're ready, let's come up into a crescent lunge. So Always remember you can put your hands on your knee first, get your balance, and then come up. Deep breath in. On an exhale, open into warrior two, so spinning your right toes towards the long edge of the mat. Deep breath in, and then bringing your hands behind your back. Inhale, exhale, left elbow to left knee one. Inhale, come up. Exhale, elbow to knee two. Inhale, come up. Exhale, elbow to knee three. Inhale, come up. Two more times. Elbow to knee four. Come up. And last time, elbow to knee five. And come up, and then release your arms. You should have really felt it in your obliques, hopefully. Circle your hands back down onto the mat. Spin your right heel up. Stepping back into a full plank or a modified plank on your knees. Squeeze your left knee into your chest and step back. Again, press back with your heels. Chest is in between your shoulders. You're not dropping down, you're not lifting up. Nice long lying. Let's hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And downward facing dog. Deep breath in downward facing dog. And then drop your knees down onto the mat. Bring your heels to touch. And let's all sit back in child's pose for a quick rest. So you can keep stretching your hands forwards, or if you want to, you can bring your arms by your sides, palms facing up. Just a variation of child's pose. And then wherever you are, bring your hands forwards. Let's come back into a tabletop position. We're going to do a bit more work for the obliques. So we're going to come into a modified side plank to start with. So tuck your toes and stretch your left leg back. And then you can move your right foot out to the right, just ever so slightly for balance. Start rolling onto your right hand. Make sure your right shoulder is over your right wrist. And then see if you can lift your left arm up towards the sky. You might need to move your left toes back a bit for balance. So this is your modified side plank. You can keep gazing down or maybe gaze up towards your left fingertips. Take a deep breath here. On an exhale, we're going to lower the left arm and then stretch it underneath the right. So squeeze the obliques here. 1, inhale, lift back up. Exhale, lower and squeeze. 2, so you're threading it underneath the right arm. Up. Exhale, 3. And back up. 2 more times. 4. And back up. And 5. Inhale, back up. Ooh, lost my balance. So we're going to hold a side plank for another breath. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, maybe you can straighten the right leg and hold a full side plank. But if it's too challenging, if it hurts your wrist, just come back into the first variation. And then lower your left hand down onto the floor. Let's come back into a tabletop position. You maybe want to sit back onto your heels, shake your wrists out just for a moment. And we'll do the same sequence on the other side. So back into tabletop position, stretching the right leg back this time. Keep your toes on the floor. Your left foot's coming out ever so slightly, rolling onto your left wrist. And when you're ready, right arm up towards the sky. Just make sure left shoulder's over your left wrist. Gaze up or gaze down, whatever feels good for balance today. The same oblique exercise on this side. Take an inhale. On an exhale, lower your right arm down and then thread it underneath your left squeeze. Inhale up. Exhale, lower and squeeze. Inhale up. Exhale, lower and squeeze. That's 3. 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, squeeze. And 1 last time up. And exhale, squeeze.
And then inhale, lift your right arm up. Stay in this modified side plank for another breath, or maybe straighten the left leg for a full side plank. But just be mindful, it's better to build your strength gradually. One more inhale. And then exhale, let's come back into a tabletop position. Sit back on your heels one more time. Give your wrists a bit of a shake. And then we're going to come back into a tabletop position and lower down onto your forearms. So we're going to do a dolphin pose, which is basically a downward facing dog, but off your forearms. So you can have your arms parallel to one another, palms facing down, and press down into your hands. Or some people prefer to interlace their hands. It might give you a bit more stability. So you can experiment here, see whichever variation you prefer. I find that I get a better shoulder stretch if I have my arms parallel to one another, but everyone's different, so just see how that feels. From here, you're going to tuck the toes, and it's the same principle as in downward facing dog. You're going to start lifting your hips up. So up, 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 up. And then your heels are going to, well, they're probably not going to lower all the way down onto the floor, but you're going to work them in the direction of the floor. So you'll see that mine are nowhere near the floor, which is absolutely fine. It's a much deeper stretch for the hamstrings. So just hold here. And then see if you can walk your legs back into a forearm plank. So you can always drop your knees down if you need to. Otherwise, see if you can hold plank on your forearms for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then drop your belly down, release the toes, keeping your shoulders over your elbows, press into your hands. So if your hands are interlaced, release them, and then press and lift your chest forwards, a sphinx pose. So if you've ever seen a sphinx, this is vaguely what they look like when they're lying down. So pressing into your toes, pressing into your hands, lifting your chest forwards. One more deep breath in. And then exhale, let's just release your forehead down onto the floor. You can have your arms wherever feels comfortable. Let's just take a break here for a moment before we do some work on our back. It's very important for core strength as well. So another deep breath here. And then stretch your arms forwards. Your legs are back. And all we're going to do is lift opposite arm to opposite leg. So when you're ready, take an inhale, left arm, right leg up. It doesn't have to be very far. You should feel your back muscles activating, and then lower back down and switch sides. Right hand, left leg up. Exhale, release and switch sides. Left hand, right leg. Exhale, release and switch sides. So we're going to continue doing this for a few more counts. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging for yourself, see if you can keep lifting everything off the floor. So don't drop your hands and your foot down all the way. Keep them lifted and continue alternating a few more counts at your own pace. I really feel this in my back. Last time on each side. And then release everything down onto the floor. Let's have a little rest here. And then move your hands so your hands are underneath your shoulders. Elbows are pressing in. Let's inhale and lift the chest up into a cobra. So it doesn't have to be a high cobra. You can keep the elbows bent. Really focus on stretching the abdominals, lifting the chest forwards. Shoulders are not lifting up towards the ears, so relax them back and down. Exhale, release. And then stretch your arms back, palms facing down. And take an inhale, lift your chest up one more time. Maybe lift your hands off the mat just a couple of inches and hold. And maybe you can lift your feet off the floor and hold. For 5, 4, 3, maybe lift a little bit higher, 2, 1, and release. Lovely. Let's all press back in to a child's pose to reset the spine and have a quick rest. And from here, we're going to come into a seated position. So walk your hands back towards your body, sit on your sit bones, have your knees bent, feet on the floor. So a few seated core exercises and then a few lying down and we're done. So have your hands underneath your knees, take an inhale here, and on an exhale start lowering back until you feel your core muscles, your abs activating here. So you might feel a bit of a shake, about 45 degrees I'd say. Engage the muscles. You don't have to have a perfectly straight spine. You could have a bit of a curve there, especially in the lower back. From here, maybe lift your right leg up and lower it back down, and then switch sides, left leg up. So until your shin's roughly parallel with the floor. Switch it back down, one more time, right leg up. Switch it back down, left leg up. Continue doing this, maybe lifting one leg at a time, or maybe see if you can lift both legs into a boat pose and hold. And maybe you can release your arms by your sides and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop your feet back down onto the floor. You can cross your legs here, place your fingertips by your hips and inhale, just lift your chest forwards, stretching the abdominal muscles. Inhale, exhale, come back with your feet down on the floor, knees bent. So you can do the same variation, or maybe you can try straightening the legs this time. So take a breath in. On an exhale, start leaning back. And remember, you can always just stay here if this is enough work for your abdominal muscles already. Maybe do alternating legs. Maybe you can lift both legs up. Maybe this time you can straighten your legs and let go of your arms. And let's just hold for 5. Everything is shaking. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Cross your legs. Fingertips by your sides. Inhale, lift your chest forwards. And then exhale, have your feet down on the mat. One more time, inhale, lean back. This time, bring your hands in prayer in front of your chest. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, we're going to lower the right elbow towards the floor, twisting. 1. Inhale, come back up. Left elbow twist. So like a Russian twist, if you've ever done an exercise class. Come back. Inhale, left elbow towards the floor. Doesn't matter if it doesn't reach the floor. Come up. And then left elbow. And come up. Continue here, or maybe you can add the legs, so right elbow, right leg lifts. 1. And come up. And switch sides, left elbow, left leg. And come up. And you can increase the pace if you wanted to. We're going to do a few more on each side, so just work at your own pace, your own level. Left elbow. 1 more on each side. And then exhale, release. And from here, we're going to lower all the way down onto the floor. So see if you can lower down with some control. Have your hands underneath your knees and then start lowering down one vertebra at a time. So instead of just collapsing down, let's have some core control here. Straighten the legs. And then have your left leg straight on the floor. Bend your right knee. Inhale, bring your knee towards your chest. Interlace your hands over the knee. So you can have it in nice and loose to start with. If your hips permit, maybe you can start bringing that knee a little bit closer to your chest. Inhale. And then interlace your hands behind your right thigh. Take an inhale. On an exhale, start straightening the right leg towards the sky. So if it doesn't straighten all the way, it doesn't matter, just work in the direction of straight. You can keep a little bend in the knee or a big bend, depending on how flexible you are and open your hamstrings are. Point and flex your toes here. Do a couple of circles with your foot one way and then the other.
And then take an inhale. On an exhale, start moving your hands up your right leg, lifting your chest up, maybe shoulder blades off the floor, and hold here. Engage the core muscles, you should feel them working. To make it a little bit harder, maybe lift your left leg off the floor a couple of inches, maybe release your hands so your arms are by your sides. Stretching towards your left leg, let's just hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bend the right knee, bring it into your chest. One more time, and we will switch sides. So straighten the right leg, bend your left knee, bring it into your chest. Nice and sunny outside today. And draw it in just gently, or maybe you can bring it a little bit closer to your chest, again depending on how flexible your hip is feeling today. And then interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Take an inhale. On an exhale, start straightening the left leg. Doesn't matter if it doesn't straighten all the way. And then point and flex your left toes towards the sky. Do a couple of circles one way and the other. Might hear a few clicks. I certainly did. As long as they're not painful, it's nothing to worry about. Take an inhale. On an exhale, start moving your hands up your left leg, lifting your chest, maybe shoulder blades off the mat, and hold. This is your level 1. If you want to make it a little bit harder, see if you can lift your right leg off the floor just a little bit. Maybe to make it even harder, release your arms by your sides and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bring your left knee towards your chest, and you'll be glad to know we're ready for Savasana. So straighten both legs, let your feet fall out, have your arms by your sides, palms facing up. Close your eyes and just try and return to the natural rhythm of your breath. Worked quite hard today. Just notice how your body is feeling after today's practice. Just work your way up from the toes to the crown of your head, making sure you're not tensing any part of your body, breathing into the